What's going on, guys? It's Uche and Joku, Sneaker Principal. And last night, I was watching my son sleep. I know people might think that's kind of a creepy way to start a conversation, but I was watching my son sleep, and almost every night, I watch him sleep, even if it's just for a few moments. He's 3 years old, so he's at a point in his life where the world is amazing. He's growing so quickly, and at the age of 47, being a father of a 3-year old, um, there's a lot of things that goes through my mind when I'm watching him sleep. I start to ask myself about his future. What is he going to be like? What is going to be his work in life? Not job, not profession. What is going to be his life's work? You know, is he going to have kids? What would his kids be like? Will he get married? What would she be like? Would he see the world, or would he just stay right in one place? All these questions, a lot of questions that are reflecting really off of me and my experiences. I'm curious about for him. He's 3 years old. Then I think about me being a 3-year-old, and that space between 2 and 3 is when I first met my father. You know, so for those of you who don't know, my father was in university in Saudi Arabia when he and my mother were introduced to each other. And they had me while I was created, produced while he was not living in Nigeria. So by the time my mother was pregnant with me, my father was back in school, and they had this long distance relationship. And eventually, we moved to Saudi Arabia. And by that time, I was closer to 3, um, and so about this age of my son right now. And I think about that relationship that I had with my father, um, which never developed into anything other than that's my father, versus the relationship I have with my son, where I've been daddy from birth, you know, and when he says daddy, he's responding to me, he's calling for me, he's responding to me as the being, the life force that is his father. Me at 3 years old, I only respond to my father as dad or daddy as a title. I'm not saying this to make anybody feel sorry for me or anyone to feel uncomfortable, but I'm exploring that space because, as a man, that relationship you have with your son is interesting. I love my daughter. She's amazing. She's princess. You know, in my mind, even with her tantrums, whatever the case may be, she holds a special place in my heart as my daughter. So at the end of the day, I think I am much softer. I might not always show it, but I'm much softer for her. But my son, that's more analytical. I'm watching what he does. I'm watching what he says because I have my own personal record, my experiences that I use to confirm, or even better yet, make sense of what he's doing, or even how he's seeing the world. Because when he does certain things, something triggers in my head, and I think to myself, whoa, I think I did that at that age. What was I experiencing at that point in time? So my son is he's a much happier kid than I was at his age. He is so much more empowered to make choices. Yesterday we went to a musical performance. It was it was an outdoor performance for kids right in front of the movie theater in New Rochelle. The kids were out there dancing and they were having a good old time. And I saw him wanted to go join them. Like his sister, she took over. She was on stage. She was talking on the mic. She was dancing with the performers, and she was like just social butterfly. And I've seen him with her in those spaces and he's running around with other kids. But yesterday he chose not to. And at first I was like, huh, why? But other times he would have ran with his sister, but he didn't run with his sister. And I watched him. He sat there and his face wasn't sad or melancholy. It just seemed like he was assessing and decided, nah, I'm good. I don't want to be there. Then it hit me. It was a stage. People were watching. And that's not him. That wasn't me. The thing that scared me the most, two scariest things for me was public speaking and a lot of eyeballs on me at the same time. Those things that, first of all, individually, that was terrifying. Combined, that was like death defying. And my son sat there next to me, leaned his head on my lap, and was just chilling. They wanted nothing to do with the other kids who were up on stage dancing at this, performance for children. Um, and it made me think about how powerful it is for me to be in that moment with him and actually understand, truly understand what he was going through that moment. But for me, I can never tell you whether my father ever really understood what I was going through at any moment in my development or my growth into who I am today. But some of you might ask, like, why is that even important? Like, as a kid, you know, that already happened. Whatever you went with your father and all that stuff, you're fine now. You're an adult. You're a principal. You're living your best life, right? But I'll say it is important because if I'm going to make sure that my children, both my son and daughter, have the opportunity to live their best lives with um, minimal migration of the trauma of the past from my father, his childhood to my childhood to their childhood. I need to really understand and be able to use that information to be better as a father, to slow down and actually see how my actions or my non-action can affect them. Some people might have been like, "Hey, why be so shy?" and dragged the little boy to the stage to be with other kids. But once I saw what was happening, I was like, I get it. You have a little bit of that thing that I have, where yeah, I might find myself on stages, but that's not where I want to be. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. He has that trait that I have. It doesn't mean that he will never be on the stage. It just means that probably when that time comes, he's going to make a choice to be on that stage for a reason. I'm saying all of this right now because I think it is important for parents, specifically fathers, to pay attention. Your presence is not just for them, it's also for you because it gives you a chance to really make meaning of your children at the same time making meaning of you. There's a lot of things that I do or don't do based on my experiences as a child and not understanding why those experiences had to even happen. But now that I'm able to look back and be like, oh, now I get it. I can see the connective tissue between what happened that led to all the other happenings that led to me. That means that even at the moments where I'm just like upset or angry or not feeling it, I'm able to separate those feelings and be able to sit down and really replace it with understanding, especially around my children. And it's also, I'll be honest with you, it's actually helped me exercise a muscle that I don't think I ever really developed. I think in the professional space, it's called empathy. And I know what empathy is within the professional realm. But within the personal realm, I don't know what that is because I never experienced it. I never truly experienced empathy within the realm of my family. And it's not a bad thing, it's just a reality of culture and those experiences. But here I am now, watching my kids, watching my son, watching my daughter, and watching the things that they do. If it's the way my son sleeps at night, or even my daughter, the way they angle their arm, which is like weird because I'm like, that's how I sleep. I was at gymnastics with them, and they sit in a way where their feet are completely flat under their butts, and that's how I sit. And people think I'm crazy. People think I'm weird, but they're like, how do you see your ankle bend like that? And I've never seen anyone else sit like that, the way I sit, you know, until I saw both my son and daughter sit like that. So I get to observe them and make meaning about their behaviors and what they're doing, and start to make those connections between myself and them, you know, and also being able to have conversations with their mother and her saying, "Hey, I see those things that they do that looks like me and like my father and all those other spaces," and we become better, slowly but surely become better parents. Today I shared that my biggest regret, but it's also not a regret, but not a regret. My biggest wish is that I could move this right here 10 years back so I can get an extra 10 years, hopefully, with them. It's not lost upon me that at 47, I might not see my kids get to be 47 because I'd be like 94. But God willing, maybe I would be here because my grandfather didn't pass away till he was 116. But also he did that in Nigeria where the air was cleaner and the water was pure and the foods came from the red soils of Igbo land. You know, I had a bag of chips and Gatorade for lunch today, so I got to work on that so I can get better and being healthier. So that's my only regret, that I wish I had a little bit more time so I can see more of who they will become. But nonetheless, at night when my son falls asleep, I watch him sleep and I see me. Fathers, specifically fathers, make sure you get to watch your kids sleep. Son or daughter, watch them sleep. Just even just for a few minutes and see what you see. All right, y'all. Uche and Joku, Sneaker Principal. Till next time. Be well.